billion people have access to some type of social media across the globe. Social media itself being websites and computer programs that allow people to communicate and share information on the internet using a computer or a cell phone. These applications allow people to connect and share ideas on a global scale, but it also has provided people a platform for their thoughts and appearance. That type of person is called an influencer. This consequently made people want to be more similar to those on social media, changing their ideas or looks to match those influencers. So I ask you this, is social media harmful on a mental level? We will look at two different generations, Generation X and Millennials, and compare their observations and options to scientific study to find an answer to that burning question. Hello, Mr. Lockett. Mr. Lockett, can you tell us your full government name?
Joel Gerard Lockett Sr.
Thank you very much. Now can you tell us what generation you're a part of?
I'm Generation X.
Yes, sir. Okay, so would you say growing up without much social media or technology affected your childhood positively or negatively?
I would say positively. The reason I say that is because you have much more interaction with people, you get to know them, you get to be more emotionally involved.
Okay. How much time do you think is healthy to spend on social media, if any time at all?
I do think social media is important. I would say a couple hours a day. Maybe in the morning to touch base with somebody to say hello. Maybe at the end of the day to say, hey, how was your day?
Okay. Around what age were you when you created your first social media account?
I would have to say about 20, 21. When I was going online trying to find some good jobs, I had to get out there and create some type of emails and things like that.
Okay. Do you place restrictions on your child's social media use? If you do or don't, why or why not?
I don't, because I believe that our children are well-grounded. I do believe that we've raised them positively and been good role models. But when I say I don't, if I should question something, I don't hesitate to ask.
Okay, Mr. Lockett, final question. Do you think social media can damage people on a mental level?
Definitely. Too much of anything can damage people. Too much social media, whether it be hardcore lyrics, content, negative influences can affect people, but it's also positive. So it all depends on the person.
Joel observed that social media had benefits, like helping him find a job or connecting with people from afar. It still stated you can't gather an emotional connection through social media as you could in the real world. This line of thinking is proven partially correct. A study found that college students are 40% less empathetic than they were at age 30. Aspects of a person's emotions fade due to media, showing a clear damage of physical relationships over time, obviously changing or harming your mental health from where it was before you even used social media. Hello, Ms. Logan. Can you also tell us your full government name?
Jelon Jade Logan.
And now can you tell us what generation you're a part of?
I'm a millennial, 80s baby.
Okay. So would you say growing up without social media affected your child much at all? Or childhood much at all?
Absolutely. Things were so much more simple then. Going to a location and having a map quest your directions was always a challenge versus having literally a computer accessible at your hands. Additionally, one of my concerns about today's generation is everything that you do is monitored under a microscope. Social media gives everyone the platform and access to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And a lot of people take advantage of that. But it also puts added pressure on today's generation. Any move you make is going to be critiqued. Growing up in my generation, we were able to do what we wanted, when we wanted, how we wanted, and just have to worry about throwing away camera pictures afterwards. Today's generation has it a lot harder. Social media makes things a lot more difficult, but it's also positive as well.
Okay, so would you say social media's main use is marketing, whether that be your personality or a product as an advertisement of it? Would you say that social media's main use?
I would say maybe 40% of it could be geared towards marketing and promotions, but I think it's more so advancement to it also feeds into egos. And I guess I can just go off of the egos. I think majority of social media is based off of egos. People want to put an image of themselves out there, something that they're not capable of being face to face and in person. It's easy to be that person behind a computer, behind a keyboard. But I think it's majority used for portraying an image that you absolutely are not.
Okay. Around what age were you when you created your first social media account?
Now you're making me feel old. Social media wasn't even around until I was in college. So I think I was about 19. No, actually, even in college, I didn't have a social media. I didn't get my first social media page until my daughter was about 2 or 3 years old. So that would say 25-ish.
So would you say that was just out of curiosity, or?
So the first platforms of social media were MySpace, and then Black Planet came along, and Black Planet was tied to colleges. So I wasn't interested in either because, again, I think that social media gives people too much, what's the word I'm looking for? Gives them too much leverage into your lifestyle. So it just wasn't my thing.
Okay, Ms. Logan, final question. Do you think social media can damage people on a mental level?
Absolutely. If you are not strong mentally and emotionally, social media can absolutely be a horrible avenue. I've witnessed people who have gone into Great Depression and developed lots of emotional and mental issues behind things that, again, you're allowing people into your life, access into every single aspect of your life. When you do that, if you aren't mentally and emotionally capable of handling the feedback and how that may be received to the public, then it will absolutely cause problems. I've seen it happen firsthand. If you're not a strong enough person to deal with it, again, as I stated before, people will pretend to be something that they're not. The smallest of things can turn into horrible issues. That's why you have to monitor your kids on there.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you for your time, Ms. Logan.
You're more than welcome.
Similarly, Ms. Logan showed the same cautious optimism that Mr. Lockett had, highlighting the positives, like making directions simpler and keeping in contact with family miles away. Adversely, there were negatives like the invasion of privacy and the inflating of egos that tainted social media over time. Cyberbullying is one of the causes of this. Cyberbullying means bullying through the use of technology or an electrical communication, an entirely new form of persecution brought about by social media and its ability to link strangers together, completely destroying the confidence of someone if taken to the extreme. Not only that, privacy is a thing of the past with social media. The dramatic story of the consulting agency Cambridge Analytica is a case in point. The firm exploited the private information of 50 million Facebook users to influence the 2016 American presidential election, showing that social media has the potential to release private information that could destroy your life if it so chose. Having to worry about this data being released could cause a number of mental disabilities. At the very least, it could cause much higher levels of paranoia, obviously damaging to your mental health and your overall processes. In summary, we used commentary from Generation X and the millennials to determine if social media is detrimental on a cognitive level. For Generation X, Joe maintained a neutral perspective, but the negatives of social media were prevalent, those being the destruction of relationships and emotional stability. This was supported by data from a viable source. For the millennials, Ms. Logan maintained a cautious perspective, laying out her life experiences with social media and giving her overall outlook. She also maintained the lack of privacy and high self-importance due to social media can leave a negative atmosphere around it. I challenge you to limit your reliance on social media and drain it out of your life. You will have more time with those you care about, and your mental health and frame of mind will be clear.